Okay, I'm going to record before we start. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning. We're going to record right now before we start. Record. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is the 44th lesson in this classical Chinese painting series. We had very active involvement in the last few classes from our live session and after class discussions. Very inspired to explore more in the late 80s or the late 20th century artists. Among them, one of the most influential artists, his name is Shihu. That's his pen name. His real name is Chen Zizhuang. I put it in the handout to something like the spell here. He was born in the 1913s and died 1976 at age 63 only. It's about my age, my current age. So he didn't have a longevity like his masters Qi Baishi and Huang Binghong. He learned under actually he happened to meet Qi and Huang in person in the 1930s. In the 1930s, when he was working for local warlords named Wang Xuzhan. Long story short, he was a martial art teacher, martial artist when he was young. In a real like a free, we call it free battle, a free fight match. He accidentally beat the top. The instructor, the personal instructor, or the military for the military leader in the province. Wang Xuzhan was a warlord. In the early Republic era, there are many powerful military leaders who are also political governors. In Sichuan. So with this accident, he could be jailed, punished, right? But he didn't. Actually, the leader, the military, the governor, Wang Xuzhan, came to him and said, "Say you beat my." Instructor, my wushu, my martial art teacher to death. Now I have to find someone to replace him, and that is you. So he accepted that offer and became a personal advisor, not only in martial art but also in collection of cultural antiques and paintings, calligraphy, etc. So he was involved in inviting Qi Baishi and Huang Binghong. Separately, he went to Shanghai to invite Huang Binghong, then later Qi Baishi from Beijing to Sichuan, and both of them lived and traveled in Sichuan with his companion, like a local guide, helper. They will paint for the host and other guests, I guess, and also traveled to paint, study. So he had the chance to observe both of them painting. And as a child, he already learned mastered seed garden manual, as many artist by himself. He wasn't involved in any formal education, but this two visitors gave him the inspiration, and some years later, 20 years later, he would use this experience to paint, to develop his own style in painting. So he learned from both Qi Baishi and Huang Binghong, and combined them with his own unique style. His style is quite simple, so to speak. He got rid of all the cliché of landscape. However, he didn't start from there. You have to take a back review. I have few questions from pre-class write up. So some artists, some student ask how his early work looked like. He was okay. This one probably not so early, I think. But this is obviously a more traditional style, like a Niuning, two banks of a lake or river with 3 trees and a pavilion. Typical Ming Dynasty simplified landscape by Ni Zan. Let's see. Oh, someone asked what his training in Gongbi influenced him. I didn't find any Gongbi painting samples. However, from this outlined flower, I think it's a osmanthus and some grass, we call Changpu, I think. And it's a still life kind of composition. He was a flower and birds painter until after 1968. It's a turning point. But before that, he did mostly flower and birds, a little landscape, and then he concentrated on landscape after 1968. The Cultural Revolution started 1966. He had a family challenge, also family crisis, because his son died while he swam, his youngest son, and his wife had a mental illness since, so he had to take care of his wife and his children while he painted landscapes. Okay, this chrysanthemum is also a Gongbi style. We call it outlined, plan outlined, baimiao, right? Without coloring, and this could be the first step of Gongbi. Right? You can see how beautiful it is. His master of lines, right? And this is a collaboration of his early work with another artist. He did the washes in this one. Let me maybe. Yeah, you can see a larger picture. And he also did figures. This is Peking opera scene. And his 1960s painting here already had his personal style to emerge, emerging style, you can see. But these are more realistic, from real life sceneries, from trips, from his memories of trips, to be precise, maybe. These are also 1963, I think. Earlier, 写生 or life sketch kind of. This is a plum blossom. And this is also a life sketch kind of painting, more realistic. And this is a realistic ancient dam. This middle part is the dam and the bridge built in Ming Dynasty. Dujiangye, very famous landmark in Chengdu. This landscape is probably only one. Belongs to his early large-scale landscape. Belongs to his early period. More realistic with a little bit Western perspective, I will say. So the composition is not very traditional, right? It's like a cut off. Framed, like a photograph view. And this is large scale. It's done in 64, 65. Very large painting for a museum or temple. With the cypress trees, and it start to his style starts to take to emerge. Yeah. Okay, this is another life sketch kind of painting. Okay, let's go back to the. Okay, I did a lot of practice this week before the class. It's not easy, so you can see a whole bunch of abandoned paintings. I will use it as a blotting paper. So it takes practice. Let me pick one to study from our collection here. Many of you probably prefer his simple style, right? He had the simple style is more direct style is more from the influence of Qi Baishi, and he also have a very dark kind of style, dense style. It's probably from Huang Binghong. So both of them, and he in his own advice. He asked his student to start from the more sophisticated style, because the simple style is for he said is for when you are old. So he make it also a metaphor, like in Chinese poetry there are long poems and short formats, right? So you should always start from the long versus the short. So he said, Bada Xianren, he does only like a 4 sentence. His painting is like a 4 sentence poetry. That's why he, it's more difficult. The shorter, the more difficult. I think some Western famous person said, if you don't have time to write a short letter, write a long one, right? It's the same idea. So it's not easy to simplify. However, I have a personal suggestion. We may start simple. If we make a mistake, just keep adding things. So in landscape we can always add to it. I still don't see the painting I was. So let's just go through the. Let me see why it's not there. My Microsoft program changed. I think Windows Photo View. Okay, here we go. This is a real place, Qinyanggong, I think. See, this one is quite simple, right? But those abstract shapes are not that simple to draw. It's like 2D design, you can see the another participant suggested me to demo how to paint the continuous qi without a break, because as a martial artist, he paint his painting with qi, obviously. If the painting fails in the fluency, fluidity of the qi flow, he will destroy it. He will destroy it. So what is a painting that has a stacking qi? Probably you can look at my failed paintings here later. But I think if a painting is good, the wholeness is the integral. Every part is integral part of the wholeness. If there's anything sticking out, standing out, pop out by you have to retouch. That's not good in terms of the qi. This one doesn't have trees, but he thinks the tree is very important in landscape painting. So this one is not a typical one. That's a very dark one. I will start from this one. Okay. Do you agree? Looks simple. Just some shapes. Now I can show you the practice I did. The last practice I did on round paper based on this. I did another one. Obviously, you can see it's two. I try to alter the square, the rectangular shape into a round format. I didn't really plan ahead, so this one looks too full to me. It's not very good. This one I think is pretty good compared to the original. I think I managed it pretty well, but we don't have to do the wrong one. So I'm going to do the square one again. This again on square paper. So the paper I'm going to use, it could be just a single shuan. I've been using this paper for my practice. The single unsize shuan. This is pre-cut. It's student grade. But I can also use some specialty paper. Like he reportedly he made some specialty paper with hemp. So that inspired me to try one. We have a hemp paper. Let me see. This one is pretty square, so I'm going to cut more squish. So I don't have to change.
Yeah, I don't see it in the class handout.
Oh, this one is not in the last handout. You should find it in the folder. I just sent you. Maybe you can just use this reference because we don't need much detail on this one. I'm going to enlarge it if needed. Okay.
Yeah, can you enlarge it and do a screen print?
Okay. If you go to the folder, it's on Dropbox. Everything is in that folder. The name is strange, but it's about the 12th, maybe for 7 or the 11th. So the 11th of the 11th image in the folder Shuhu. I already posted the link there. Okay, someone found the file name. Yeah, that helps, right? 8BC something.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Patty. Okay. Yeah, the reason I give you the whole collection is because I really don't have a favorite. before I tried last night. So I some may say simple is easier, but maybe not. So I'm going to use this brush, the Blue Heron Arts mouse dot brush. You can use any stiff brush, medium size or small size, to do this practice. Mostly just a line, linear. It's very. So I'll just keep it there. So when we copy a painting, there are several ways. Sometimes we put a template, just like a tracing is one. That's mostly with Gongbi, right? In Xieyi, we normally paint before the original without putting, but you can do a preliminary sketch with a charcoal. If I do that, I basically would draw out the box of the elements, not exactly the outlines. So maybe you can draw just a simple contour line, like I'll do the foreground, just maybe a little. Pay more attention on the three directions: level, straight, slant. So if you keep these three in mind when you draw anything, it will help. So just to see which part is leveled, like the bottom of the rock, the river bank. There's a pond, maybe something there, and what is vertical, and what is slant, and the boxes, the shape, the squares. Look at and there's triangles. There are only two shapes, right? So the houses are important, but if you set the rock correctly and then just save some room for that. So we'll do the rocks first, and then I won't draw anything for the background, but I probably will mark the peak. You want to make sure which one is the host, which one is the guest. So the peak actually is in the distance, and this one has the same length, but is a guest, right? You don't want to compete with that. So there's I call that skyline. You understand now what I mean, right? It's like the skyscraper skyline. I don't see eye level. Maybe somewhere here. No, because the roof it's outside the picture. Outside the picture, there's a white line there. That's the cloud, white cloud, where the distant mountain is. So we're going to leave that. So his approach is like a Taoist. One produce two, two produce three, right? So I'm going to use dark gray. And you can put a little right on the palette, or just put some in the ink stone.
Could you say again which one you think is the host and guest?
Oh, the whole thing is like a host. Okay. the focal point are the houses, obviously, because he think if a landscape without a house, like there are three in ancient time in the Song Dynasty, they already have this theory that a good to have a trail to walk in, a place to stay, a viewpoint. So the host should be the houses, focal point. So a landscape without houses are too barren, so not appreciable in Chinese landscape painting. So he always he advised his student to practice painting house alone for a while until you're very good on that. So, but we're not going to do the houses first. I think each group has a host-guest relationship, and let me explain. So we'll start from the left corner, probably, or right corner. From the corner. Okay, let me enlarge this. But when I zoom in, you probably lost proportion. So I will zoom back after we examine this. Okay, so look at this group. We got the large one in the front and the two smaller ones, medium and small behind, right? So they form a group. So they're not. You don't have to label them, who is host, but maybe here it's more important to make size different, the large and the small. So you don't want the small one to become too large. So this right side we got this three, another kind of grouping, and then we'll talk about those upper part. Usually you start from the host mountain right away. But in this case, I try to do it from foreground to background, I think. So let's do these two rocks in the foreground. He could have started from these two rocks and then connect them with the this edge of the platform where the artist stands, right? So probably it's more important to do this middle triangle, and that's a very standard one to start with. I think if you recall, we taught this kind of brush stroke in the first lesson, I think. So I wet the brush first. I already did, right? So it's not going to split. If not, let me use another brush just as a spoon. I use a clean brush, just add a little water. This looks like too dry here. Here, I want to make a gray on one side, so my outline is not completely like a solid dark. However, you start from a dark, right? So I make a dark gray here, and maybe touch a little dark on the very tip. So this one is the first. Let me zoom in so you can see better. Oops. Can you see here? This little one. So this will set the cornerstone, not corners, I don't know what you say, cornerstone for major others, right? So just do a triangle shape like that. And then another triangle immediately require on the top, right? But this one, it has a little bit angle change, so not completely parallel, right? just notice this kind of subtleties. And this one is on a flat platform, like I said. So this one can go. We call it go and le. Le is kind of hard to translate. Go le. This movement is go le. Go means go from top in like Huang Binghong is his teacher. He has a Tai Chi. Remember we talked about Tai Chi symbol when we teach Huang Binghong. See, I immediately see my Chi is not as fluent there because he's a Tai Chi master and his turn is so rounded. Do you play Tai Chi? Any of you practice Tai Chi? So Tai Chi movement is all rounded. There's no abrupt movement, right? No sharp turns. So everything is rounded. So can I make it up a little bit? Maybe. Yeah, I'll just make it a little thicker to make the sharp point a little rounded. But then the chi is destroyed. So don't repeat. That's a rule. Okay. You can make another stroke if you like. Okay. You can leave absence with while your idea is complete. Okay. And then let's do this one. We're not going to connect it yet, but this one could be. This one should be a different shape. It's more rectangular or squarish, angular, right? This is a triangle, and you can add a little. We call this third dimension, right? So it creates a this one divides. You could have a little turn there, but this one's front face, side face, and top. So I leave a little bit highlight there. That's top. So that this little stroke served the purpose to divide the rock into 3 dimensions. Okay, and when he critique art, he critique lots of artists. He said Pan Tianshou. Actually, Pan Tianshou is an admirer of his painting because one of his students discovered the Shuhu as early as in 60s and brought them to Pan Tianshou. Pan Tianshou said he's a genius, a talent. He must meet them. He must meet him while he traveled to Sichuan, but he never had a chance. In the Cultural Revolution, Pan died. Anyway, so he said Pan Tianshou's painting only use one side of the brush, and his own painting use all 4 or 8 directions. He can turn into, so a brush can go up, go down, go. So you have to hold the brush like this. So he used what we call the seal script technique. Okay, so in painting this, I see if Huang Binghong, his teacher, does this, he will do it in 2 strokes, one on the left, one on the other side. It's like an apple, right? But and then you divide it into squarish. Remember, it's not an apple. I'm think it's good to think about a living things, animal or vegetable. Yesterday I had an idea when I paint another painting. I thought he's painting potatoes. So I just painted potato shapes. Yeah. All right. So now we have 2 rocks, and then we can draw a line to connect them. There's a crossing break that line. That's accident, but careless is a careless kind of freestyle. You don't have to copy that exactly, but if you want, you can do that. But typically, I will avoid that hard crossing that because the ground edge is behind. Another immediately, I have almost made a mistake. If I had a draft line there, because I have this, and it goes through that rock and continues, right? In his painting is obviously connected. The chi is connected. Most students, I'm not saying most, some students probably would not look at this line when she draw this line. So that chi will be disconnected. So you can draw a line like that. But this continuous line, right? If you draw the line out of the alignment, same thing here, right? So you can, if you don't have a draft, especially because I have a pencil draft here to remind me already, but if you didn't have, that's very important to keep that continuity. And this 3 sections should not be the same. Probably, you can draw this line a little longer. Actually, there's a void there with trees. So you can use tree instead of line to define an edge. Because that tree could be beyond the edge of could be rooted under the cliff. This is the cliff edge, right? All right. This another mistake I just made is, I see a little turn there. I missed it, and that's okay. That's just you learn by doing. You cannot really get everything in your first attempt. This is my second attempt. Still, I see things I didn't notice. So to paint trees and the rocks together, and even the color wash, he said if you paint the 春茶点染, the 4 steps like the mustard seed garden, is too simple, and he wanted to do everything in one step. So sometimes he does the foliage first, but not in this case. I think the pine trees should be you should paint the branches and the trunk first, right? But sometimes, if it's convenient, he will dot the foliage and then do the trunk. And he said, when I quote him, he has several books, class notes taken by his disciples or student. So they take good notes, by the way. If you read Chinese, maybe you will get a lot of question and answers directly from him without me. If you could read but I try to. Because the difficult part of that book, that writing you can find online easily these days, is that there's no illustration of what painting he was working on and what he's really talking about. But I try to relate to some points, why I paint here. So I'm going to complete this corner. As we talked about, they're smaller than this front layer, right? So I'm looking at even the small rock. It has the ridge of a vein, dragon vein, kind of. I think he used very simple marks, very abstract marks. So basic stroke it's like your first stroke, just like that. Go up and like this first stroke right here. Just repeat that, and I try to change the angle of each stroke, so they're not to avoid parallels, and you can vary the distance. If you violate that, you can maybe adjust it by adding some more. Okay. Okay. Here's water line. This is water. You don't have to draw if you want. You can just leave it, and we can use the color. That's what it should be leveled. So make sure you don't violate these norms. Like the water is leveled. If the water is leveled, then the boat. We don't have a boat here to be slant in his quote book. In his class, he talked about those. So I'm going to draw this house. Don't have to be exactly like a real house. So it's a symbol of a house, just like writing a character.
So why he put his house not level? Is that
that's a good question.
thing?
Yeah, I think it creates a movement and it attracts your eye more. I think, yeah, I did it leveled, but good question. Yeah, I think the house, the leaned house creates, when you have a leaned line, it creates the shi, the movement, the gesture, right? I think that's just the feeling of it. So because the house is an expression of it's not an architecture painting you want to build a livable place. It's just for your eye. Just please your eye and feeling. Just express of the artist the feel of the house. Not so his house. Yeah, I think I can recall. I'm pretty sure that he talked about why the house shouldn't be leveled or squared. Should be leaned. Maybe it has other reason than I answered. Yeah. So you can not develop along the left. I don't know which way he proceeded. Probably, I think we should complete the foreground here. Then we'll go like in this sequence. Okay. So the next I'm going to do this side, right? You can do it from small to large, but ideally you do the envelope first, then the divisions of dimensions inward. So I would draw this line that defines this block. So I'll go in there later, and then draw another one on top, and I pay very close attention on the shape of the rock, and then see where they meet. Yeah, that's one. And then I draw, always left and right, right? And this one is more vertical. So he said, pay attention on three directions: vertical, horizontal, slant. Okay. So this should be vertical. This is slant, right? And that's and I try not to divide it too even. And that alignment indicates that alignment is the dragging man, right? We talked about the ridge, and this could be a little bit towards the left. So I did it right in the middle, which is no good. So I'm probably just add a little more something. Yeah, sometimes a dot will serve the purpose, And I have my own secret. I think I shared with you in the first class of this series. If you review that, I'll welcome Su Tan. She's a new student in our class. I think this would be very good for Sue. Yeah, because it goes back to the first class. Yeah, what we learned in the first class. So now I'm going to draw another mount kind of shape. And this one is rounded. The rounded one is what we call pima, right? Pima is a parallel kind of texture. But in his painting, he tried to avoid parallels, but still use that kind of stroke. He's using the seal script. In his early years, he didn't use seal script because he didn't really cut his own seals, and he lost all his seals in the Cultural Revolution. The Red Guards confiscated all his relics, including his seals. So he had to carve his own seal. Okay. Now see the shape has shifted from triangular to square here, and this two square should be very different. Okay, I almost so this two shape here, this should be a little smaller actually, but I made it too large. So one way to do that is just make this part smaller, but I think he also liked to make the low and high contrast. So maybe make this higher, just like he does. So not so completely square, not so completely straight. Okay, and here's another triangular. I just add a little bit ink to the tip, so it dries pretty quickly. That's it. Guess the peak. It could be the host. He didn't really say that, right? Okay. Logically, there should be a foot of a mountain, but I consider that line could be, serve that purpose. Although logically, it's not the same dimension it's behind, but visually, this line and line with this will stabilize that, complete that. Okay. Now I'm using dry brush. Draw this line. Are you following me? It's very just take reference.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, just use reference of other part for the next one. That's always compare the neighboring shape with the previous shape. So this one is almost identical to this shape here, but smaller, right? Because it's behind, and so you don't need. Yeah, just repeat that create a perspective, and then draw another one under it, just like this. Yeah, and actually this one is the bottom of this top shape that goes from here, right? Goes from here. What do you want to control here? Avoid parallel with that line, that slant. So this one goes a little flatter, right? And then also avoid the parallel with that, so you can go a little straighter. And he's a Taiji master, the turn must be rounded. You can wave a little bit, but the line is still with the tip centered. And you can lean the brush, doesn't matter. Okay, this line should align with that bottom line. Yeah. Okay. And if you make a mistake, use trees to cover. Okay. Now, I think the color should go a little lighter. And you just add a little water instead of adding ink. Just add a little water, and we do this cliff here. It's almost parallel, but avoid completely parallel. Yeah, good. So a little wave, a little waving in and out should be fine. and just add a little dark, maybe a little water if you want, just to the tip. We only use the tip of the brush, right? Okay, now this line is behind. That's the inner contour. What we do first, the outer contour first, right? So we do this triangle, and when I do this triangle, I look at all the triangles along this line. I see 1, 2, and 3, and that create. So see that slant, that create 1. Let's see this point 1, 2, not 3, right? This is the qi. If your painting doesn't align, then you will not only the perspective, but also you lose the fluency, continuity of the qi. Because qi is structural sometimes, very structural, right? Okay, I started this already, but see, here's another qi question. If I copy the lower part exactly like you should be behind, outside this shape, right? But I already started the nether. How can I make it up without breaking the qi? No way, simply no way. Because if I copy this line forcefully to copy the master, it would take a big turn like that, and it would be very man-made, forced, or artificial, right? And not natural. So you don't want to break the natural law, the gravity, or the scientific law. So that slope must go behind just like that. Is that very different? Maybe we need to make up. We can just add another stroke. So this mountain could be okay. Yeah, here's the problem. You see this repetition here. We are human. We always tend to make exactly symmetrical, too similar. Two of the same things like this. So you should aware. I was pay attention on these 3 triangles, but I forgot the relationship with this one. So it goes right, almost like a tangent. If you prolong that line, it goes right into the ender. So that I will change a little bit. Maybe we can just do another dimension, and I just make it up. I add another thing here. That's too long, maybe. That's okay. I want to define the bottom before I forget. I forgot that there's water, so there's too many things to consider. But you don't have, if you didn't have this problem, you don't have to add this dimension. And now I'm going to do the host, the peak, because it's far in the clouds. So there's more water. Shuhu said he didn't rely on the sky wash, when he painted snow, or the, water to paint rain or things like. When he painted mist like this, he doesn't rely on washes. All your brushwork should indicate the season, the weather itself, without relying on washes or color. Do you get it? That's why be more. Brush and ink is so crucial. It has a reason. You can indicate the season. This is autumn, right? So it's dry, and sometimes it has a little mist. So you indicate the morning autumn scene with the use of brush and ink already. So there's we call it in Western, we call it the softer here and harder in the foreground, but there's also indication why, because not only it's atmospheric or aerial perspective, but more of the consideration of it is atmospheric. Okay, here I think we should do the front first. Before this is another rule of thumb. When you have depths of overlapping shapes, you do the front first. This is like a natural bridge here. Just a rock. It's not a bridge. It's not a curved arch, things like that. But it's not completely dry. I mean, straight. So I try to do an arch kind of shape, natural bridge. And there's. So this is quite a large platform. So the platform should be leveled, right? But not completely leveled. So relatively leveled with a little lean movement towards the. This is inner contour. I should do the outer first. Okay, let's do that. Avoid pair. Okay, this goes down, goes up. You always keep an eye on the other things. So that overlap created depths. Overlapping create depths. Just overlap a little bit with the tree behind. You can have some tree in the front. Just touching a little bit. Okay, and there's something missing we can add. Okay, this one is in the front, and then another dimension. So that single line indicates front, side, divided the rock into three dimensions. Okay, now let's complete the I will complete the rock, the cliff before the houses. The houses, some houses are behind. Then you can do the pine tree in the front. Or let me see. The pine tree should be behind. Could be done later, I think. We just use light ink to complete this. Okay, here is the slope of it. There's another, and that actually kind of like that aligned. Okay, I'm going to do the house and then the pines around it. So this house is he didn't paint any color. There's a pure drawing with this is like calligraphy. I got too much space here because I know this is a house. So maybe I will make a village if I use all the space here. And my host mountain maybe a little too small. Maybe take a look at the other part. So should I fix that? And then besides, I made another mistake here. It's too centered. So so many things. When you concentrate on the the detail, you really lose the sight of the whole. So that goes there. I just ignore what I did. I try to go back to the original a little bit. So I just make a kind of repetition of this to make it up. Okay, it's too dark. Just water it down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I try to correct my composition a little bit. Otherwise, my house would be built on a too large platform. Okay, that looks better, I think. So that gives me reasonable space for the house. So I'm gonna draw this side wall first. It's a triangle shape, just like the rocks stroke, right? 2-stroke, and his house is quite low because we see from above. So mostly just see the roof. Yeah, the lean line is the straight line is the bottom of the house. So I will do this triangle first, and then a low wall, and the wall here, and you can draw another round squarish, just like the window or the door, whatever. And he connects the front plan with the side, just in one stroke. The plan, it just goes like that. That's the ground line, and then he draw this leaf line that goes a little up. It's against the perspective rule, and I know he knows the Western art, but he is not copy the Western approach. He's aware of many Western masters, but he's one of the artists like Pan Tianshou insist on the purity of Chinese brush painting without any borrowing technique from or perspective from the West. Huang Binghong also and Qi Baishi. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll use dark ink to draw the trees around the house. You can draw for pine. I think he probably would do the trunk and the branches first, because the pine needles is above the branch, right? But he said the trunk should be done in a manner that only 1 or 2 are serious. The other just more casual. If you put everything very solid, very detailed, you lose that kind of interest. Dot on top of the horizontal. Just vary the size and distance a little bit, because some part is more dense, some part is a little more sparse, right? Okay, I don't worry too much on the shading, because usually it just come out naturally when the brush is continued without reload. You have all the, but the pine tree is darker than the rock, that's for sure. Okay, and you can also just draw the foliage first, and then do the trunk if you want. Usually the trunk is not seen in the distance, but this one is only in the middle ground. The distant mountain is painted with the wash, the gray wash later, right? So I will do more trees, and he also he vary the angle, just like a Z shape sometimes, not exactly horizontal and straight bars. Okay, horizontal dash and straight bars not nice, right? So he probably would. And will vary so 2 sides could be different here, and you can have some dense and some sparse. If you have trees on top of the mountain, he said you should have some dispersed under it. So concentration on the top, and then disperse on the bottom, would to echo that. Even the small trees has like a nice, grouping, 3 So it could be one tall, one short contrast. So always vary the stroke from previous. Vary the direction from our size. Make it taller or lower or more slant or something like that. And his dots, right? His mask dots, done in very like a 高山最实. We use that term to describe dots in calligraphy. It's a falling stone kind of, very rounded. Not like a 福宝石, okay, definitely not a split brush dot. His dots, even on the foliage, on the needles, is rounded. Everything's rounded in Tai Chi, right? Tai Chi. Pronunciation, spelling may be different in English. In Tai Chi, everything is rounded and everything is implicit. More the power is more implicit, not exposed. Okay, and we can dot more on top of this. Okay, let me just add a little water. I see some lighter misty trees here. So if you have 5, just vary the heights a little bit. And dots should be on top of but he does that in the middle sometimes. It's okay. Everybody, you don't have to copy exactly some, like every stroke. Everybody's chi, everybody's mental representation is different. You can learn the technique part, and with your own chi or mental image. Don't try to copy this kind of blurred stroke yet, because that's just because he does everything wet onto wet, very fast. And before the tree gets dry, he already started to wash the background. That get bleed. That creates some energy also. Okay. So let's do the wash. I think did we miss anything? There. And here we should have a little tree to stop that. I think there should be like a disperse from top to the bottom a little bit with dots. So you go dense and sparse and then disperse. Continue the dots. See, it could also divide, serve to create lines, and you can help to complete a line with dots or. But the distance is varied, not a size. It could be, we call that 气韵生动. The rhythmic vitality. Rhythmic vitality is the 气韵. 气韵, right? Rhythmic vitality, yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to use a soft brush. You can use a combination brush if you like. And let me got some light ink. You can add a little bit blue. You can use indigo. I use this leftover mineral blue in it. It's a little bit opaque, but if you dilute it, it's okay. So we got very light. And this is good for the distant mountain. But we can start from the foreground. So I add a little more ink. Just add a little more ink. any gray should be fine. A little, but not too much color. I want to keep it just like ink. Okay. Let me just put it here. And you can almost see his sweeping strokes, right? Starting from this corner. Let me put it up a little bit so you can see the corner here. I use the brushes in a slant positions, maximize the size of the stroke. Oh, that's too dark. Too dark. Okay, let me just finish that and adjust that a little bit. Sweeping. Leave this corner open. Okay. Oh, using a blotting paper. Blotting paper is necessary to avoid unwanted bleed. Okay. And I tried to figure out the procedure. He did the tree with a little indigo and the ink, a little blue ink first or after the brown. Doesn't matter actually. let me complete the distant mountain. I want to make sure this is as light as the lightest here. So you have to test it with another piece of paper. Maybe if it's too light or too dark, you can adjust. I think that's okay. So I'm going to start from this corner and proceed to the other side. Okay. So this one is not very. Using a blotting paper to control, if you want a little more blue maybe. So the stroke is almost the same as he does the rocks, right, like that, and vary the shape of the mountain a little bit. So it goes like an M-shaped movement. You can combine strokes, no problem. So when the brush is dry, it just goes slow. And here I let that peak break the gray distant mountain a little bit, so that creates the kind of heights I want. And I noticed this is not completely leveled, so it's a little lean to the right. So I use dry brush to do the soft bottom, and then I go back a little bit to form some peak, and then vary a little bit highs up and down. So this one goes up a little bit. That stops the eye from going out. Yeah. So this rhythmic vitality, rhythm is very important. Okay. Try to get that. It will dry very light, very light. If you look at the value against the light, lift the paper and look at it against the light, you'll see the value. Okay, I'm going to just use some blue in the ink. It could be indigo or cello with blue, it doesn't matter. To wash the foliage, the vegetation of the, because if you do it on the wet, so this will be really smeary. So I want to add some blue first, blue and the ink first, but more ink, less blue maybe. And he washed the whole area here to create a kind of like shady under the tree, shady part. So that, oops. You need to leave a lot of white, not to block the qi. Okay. So although you see the grays there, but it's not solid. It's not solid. Let's let the qi breathe. Qi is also breath, right? So that's very important. And let's add a little bit blue to the ink again. Do this group. Actually, there's not much color. I think he want to use just the ink, basically, to contrast with the light yellow soil color. I think that's quite simple and effective. Okay. Just the one dot. Okay, that's about it. And you can always go back to add later. I'm using this traditional chip for the brown. It's a very mild brown, traditional chip brown. And you can use tube amber. This is called amber. This is very mild. You can see. You can mute a little more with little ink or blue if you want. So it's not so, especially on this corner, I think it's a little bit bluish. And the value is more important, the darkness or the lightness. Let me try. See, this one I did last night is too strong, so I want to make sure it's light. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. See, the stroke he washed is like the same kind of movement, but using the whole. Try to use very few strokes to complete without repeat too much. Just blocking in the color in one stroke. And you can leave bits of white. Do you see that in the original? Yes, okay. And I try to use a little bit Western concept of shading, just like a little cooler here, in the distance more bluish. That could also apply. Doesn't it's not very important, but if you know that, it will help. It will set yourself apart from a Chinese artist who doesn't know the color temperature. He liked the color to be harmonious, very close to each other, not too contrasty, things like that, I think, and very pure in many cases. And he blended the color right on the paper. He can glaze another color on top of this if he want. So, but basically it's Xie style and very calligraphic, not really depicting. You don't really paint that much. Just see the stroke we did the rock is like this, but with only the tip. Right now I'm just using the same kind of stroke. if there's something missing, let it be. If really bothers you, you can eliminate the unwanted white. But usually it's nice if you maintain this kind of writing manner. Writing means no repetition. No, you don't. When you write calligraphy, can you go back to change your stroke after it's putting down? No, right? So just one shot, a la prima, right? There's an Italian word in oil painting. One touch, one stroke. Okay, and this could be a little cooler or lighter. It's behind, and this front could be a little stronger. Okay, you can. There's no window, I noticed, but this is his style because this is just a symbol. I just leave it. I think that's the original.
Henry, what's the middle? The white, is that the water?
Oh yes, it's the water. You're right. It's the water. It's like a lake, yeah, and mountain lake, yeah.
Okay, my tree is not tall enough, so the water is not enclosed. Does that mean it's break the chi or it's okay?
Like this tree here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can leave it. You can let it go through into the. This could be a big lake. This is just a bay, little bay. Yeah, a pool of water. Yeah. So I could have started from this corner, right? This should be in the front. The first rock, at least this one is darker than. So just draw potato shape or apple shape, right? You don't have to purposely leave the white, but if you serve the purpose, like it indicated the highlight, perfect. If not, doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about the lighting in Chinese painting. Okay. So just try to do it in large stroke when you apply color. Just like you did the contour, right? And I'm going to dry this so I can write an inscription on this side, I think. And you will see the true color as well. Let me just cover it with a piece of paper. Then I'll iron it. Here's another. Oh, this is the potato mountain I did several like this and this, and then I think this one is this one I signed. That's probably the better one. Anyway, so my color is a little stronger. Let me see after it dries. How strong it is
Henry, was his martial art actually, was it Tai Chi? Was that?
I'm not sure. He's a real aggressive fixing, kind of. I don't. Yeah, Tai Chi could also kill a guy, right? Yeah. I think I'm not sure. There are several names mentioning his bio about his teacher, his famous teacher in Chengdu. So I think Tai Chi is the foundation at least, and I will assume he knows others as well. unfortunately, I think that's probably when he was before 30s or something like that. So he became more a literary a scholar than a warrior. But he's involved in the high politics. In World War II, he involved in the negotiation in the Civil War. When Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong met in Chongqing, he went there to serve in the middle. So he's also a secret society leader. Paoge in Sichuan is very old, we call that a secret society, right? Not black society. He opens a restaurant, like a chaguan, a tea house. And his friends, including both sides, the KM, Kuomintang, KMG, right? And KMD and the CCP, the communists. So he will help both sides to escape the other side's assassination or something like that. So he had friends in the political cycle, but later he distanced himself to indulge in art only. So that's why he survived the Cultural Revolution, basically. But after initial trauma, but his family trouble created even more long-lasting impact on his life. Anyway, so he used art as a soothing, his release of pressure, maybe. So his art really does not belong to his time. He was considered labeled the Chinese Van Gogh. So he's beyond his time. His art and the theory both. So I'm going to write a tribute to Shuhu here. 致敬. His name is Shi, as in 齐白石, stone. Hu means pot, teapot. Okay, 致敬石斛. Year of ox. Okay, and my name, and then the signature. Okay. Can you see the whole thing now compared to the original? Yeah, I made some mistakes, but generally it's identical, right? I'm happy with that. I think this part could be a little longer. Maybe could be this bank could be a little longer. Maybe we can add another stroke or something. If you look at the mirror, it gives you a better view. I'm looking at the mirror image. I mean, on my computer screen is a mirror, so it gives a better view of a. Yeah, that if you have that line, it goes down and have a actually it goes all the way here, huh? Anyway, it's a kind of balance. It looks darker, but it will turn lighter, I hope. Okay, that's a simple one. How you guys doing? We have like half an hour. Should we do another one with trees?
It's hard.
Hard. Yeah, it is hard. I know.
It's good that you warned me.
I know it's hard. That's
Especially because I've been going over some lines that are not supposed to go over.
oh yeah, that's the front and the back relationship. Yeah, that's the most important part. He also does that. See the line cross this rock. That's okay,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, but don't if that happens, just let it be. Yeah, just work around it. Don't try to fix. Just that's another beauty of frankness. You know, just leave it. Yeah. So I have a unfinished painting. So let me finish this one, and so you can see another. You know, like this one with trees. So let me find out the original here. Oh, this one. This one is autumn scenery. He used one hue, that's rouge and amber maybe, amber and a little bit rouge. So let's do that. And the bottom, the rock is ink and amber. Yeah, and the top was a little bit rouge. Let me get some color here. Or maybe just any red will help. Got some left over. So amber and rouge.
Henry,
Yes.
before you leave today, you know the chat. There's some interesting things in the chat. So will you forward those to us?
Oh, let me see.
In a
Email.
email?
Page 4 Shuhu document. Okay. Yeah, there's a document in Chinese. I thank Patty for is this a, I said this is a question, not a translation. Is it a question for me? Okay. Let me translate this. In the chat, Patty posted a quote from the book. Actually, I uploaded it to the folder. I didn't realize that it's in Chinese. So you read Chinese, Patty, right? Can you translate that self? Shuhu document talks about the qi. It seems to suggest that qi is more than brush stroke technique. Is this correct? Definitely correct. The qi, according to Shihu, and if you recall what I quoted from Lu Yanshao in our last class, the qi is everything except the concrete definition, in a painting. So it's the ontological, maybe. Qi is the ontological existence of the painting. It's the result of a brush stroke. Of course, you cannot see the qi without the manifestation of it. So the highest goal of our art is to manifest the qi through our painting. And Shuhu says qi. What is qi? Qi is Shen or spirit. Spirit or essence. Okay, it's not visible, but although it is not visible, but it 起作用. It has its use, or it makes things life actually. When we consider, okay, he has a concept he calls the first impression. The first impression is not the result of thinking. The first glance, when you see something without thinking, that's you usually see the spirit, see that, that's the spirit, yeah. So he think the first glance of something, or just a small, like you look at the painting from distance or in a thumbnail, and you that without looking at details, you're seeing the Shen or the Qi. Shen and the Qi is he relates the two as the same. So it's basically it's beyond details, but you cannot do it without the brushwork, right? He's after the first glance of things, the many thoughts, are but the result of your previous experience, or as reference, or references from the past. So the direct experience, the first glance, you should. So if the painting is good, you should see the qi or the Shen in distance, or in a small, small thumbnail. You can use a mirror. Sometimes you see from the mirror image. That's for the same reason. You can see the qi. When I was in a workshop the other week, a Western artist used a mirror to check his painting, and the things he correct is not detail, it's the qi. And he said, this movement should go up, but instead of going down, so I'm going to take it, to make it up a little bit. So that's kind of. So he used the mirror to check the qi in Chinese word.
Excuse me, can it work for love at first sight?
What's the question?
Can this qi first glance work for love at first sight?
Oh, I think so. That's the qi. It could be qi is also a person. Everybody has its own qi. That's why Dong Qi said the qi is by birth. So everybody's qi is different, but you get it from birth. So you have to develop your qi through reading and practicing. So everybody's qi is different. So Shuhu also said he will not. He will teach people, according to their the personal character or qi. So that's another usage. Yeah. So everybody's qi is different. If you are into more detailed work, you should do more detailed work. If you're more like a poetic, you can paint more poetically or lyrically. But so it's all different. You cannot change that. Your personality is you get from birth. That's why. But you can cultivate it. You can use your effort to cultivate. Everybody. So by traveling and reading books, you can cultivate your qi, your great qi. So qi is the vitality, rhythmic vitality. That's I think qi yun, right? Yeah.
So Henry, you are saying check the qi in the mirror. You put your painting in front of the mirror. And then you look at the mirror.
You look at the painting from a mirror, like a makeup mirror. you just turn yourself against the painting. You hang it on the wall somewhere. And then you look at the painting through a mirror. So you see your back is towards your painting. You look at it from the mirror. The mirror view will help to identify the qi of the painting.
I will try that.
Yeah, that's the Western artist trick of seeing the painting. And the reason that instructor says the reason he used the mirror is because he lost the feeling of the first glance. After like 40 minutes of painting, you kind of you lost in the detail of the painting instead of seeing the qi. So that's why he refreshed his mind, his view, by looking at the mirrors again from a different angle, so that you go back to the original, the first glance, the first. Shuhu used this 第一念. 第一念 actually is not first sight, first thought or first impression. Yeah, something like.
Sometimes I just stop painting, hang it up, and study it a while, come back later, and then I can catch it again.
Yeah. So your intuition, I think, is very important. Your illusion is very important. Your delusion is also important. So so he said the rock has life, just like the Zizhuang, the introduction of Mustard Seeds Garden Manual. He said you should read that. It's very helpful to read that. And it talks about the vitality of rock, the three phases of rock, right? So the rock mountain has its personalities, and you should you should have a feeling of them. So when he visits a mountain, he feels like going home. If you really don't have that feeling, you cannot really paint landscape. So he would stare at a rock under a waterfall or something for a long time, and to get the feel of the mountain from a very macro scale view. So you don't have to. In the end, he will paint a bird's eye view, but when you observe, you can get the qi or the feeling by looking at just the change of like a day or season in the rock, in a small piece of the landscape. So he's a very good master, according to Wu Guanzhong, his contemporary, the Chinese artist who was trained in France. Right? Wu Guanzhong, he said his small painting, Shuhu's small painting is he's a master in small painting. It's very difficult for people to paint small scale landscape, and to with a large qi or magnificent qi. He does very well with small scale painting. Maybe because his limitation of conditions, because he lived in a very poor house with his wife in one room, and he had to paint like paper boxes or something, a table made of boxes. Anyway, so he can only manage small space painting.
if you use the principle of Tai Chi, the Chi is released when the direction changes, when there's a curl or a change in the movement. And you can kind of see that in his paintings. There's like a flow of energy in one direction, and then you can see it's a constant, the turning, the turn and the twist and the change.
Who's speaking?
It's Daisy.
Daisy herself is a martial art practitioner. So your insight is very, very good. I appreciate that. I forgot that we have a specialist in our class about Qi. You should share more like this. Yeah. So you can see the turning of direction when Qi, direction of movement changes, right? Yeah. So so you change a breath. You take a breath, right?
Yeah, it's that when the direction changes, that's when the Qi is gathered and it can be released, because the change, the palm change, the change in direction it gathers up the energy in that point, and you can either release it or you can hold it to the next change. But you can kind of see the rocks are kind of holding the energy through their changes. And then the leaves are very vibrant. All the dots, it's like those are the releases of Qi, like in the dots. That's what it looks like to me anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad you can see the... I think the only way to learn is... although he doesn't encourage people to copy his painting, just like Chibash. He does encourage you to study other artists for some purpose, like you want to learn his structure, or you want him to learn his brushwork, just one aspect. But it's hard to get someone's Qi or mental representation. But gradually you will develop your own I Ching or conception of that's very unique and hard to copy. You can copy the structure basically here. I think you can when you look at a painting, you're going to copy, just analyze it to see how it was structured, the blocks, the building blocks. Yeah. So here
can you?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you just analyze how the Qi is going on this painting and the painting we learned earlier? So what's the Qi flow on this painting, or the Qi flow on the painting?
I think when you paint a tree, there's dominant tree like in the middle, which is the host, right? So you and then the other guest trees either support, like this one is more supportive, but this one may be like a co-host, so you could consider this to form a umbrella kind of shadow for the house underneath it, to create a nice environment of the place. I think so basically it goes like a half circle. It's a C shape. I think this one I just noticed my boat is too close here, so if I redo this, it should be a little bit farther to this. Maybe I add another one to this side. According to him, the boat should be more slant than the riverbank, so that creates the movement. So we can do like a half boat there.
Maybe Is it possible that qi is coming out of the earth into the leaves of the tree, and then they reach out towards the water in this picture, and the boats return. The boats like seem to bring the back.
I think I got you. So this part should be higher to the sky, so it leads you outside. Yeah, this group should be a little higher. So you can feel the qi is beyond the brushwork. That's the tendency. The structural tendency goes beyond the border of the painting. It goes out, right? So need you to go out and then come in, and there's a jumper. So the boat serve as a jumper or connector of between what's missing. To suggest the connection between different blocks in this painting. Yeah, and his signature also kind of block the qi from leaking out, so that force you going back to the circle. That's everything is directional, right? Direction is the qi, basically. In my view, the movement. Okay, so let's just write a small inscription. You can write, just block that corner. It's okay too. So let's try, just write. I'll just put this font, Shuhu. Mimic. Okay, you see that block the chief block the that's the corner from the how do you say, stop the qi from leaking out, so that forces you, and because all the paintings is on the right side or left side, so that elements I added the bolt, but without this bolt, if this bolt is a little on this side, it would be perfect. Anyway, that kind of balance it. So opening and the closing is also is also the term we use for this kind of composition. So yeah, he mentioned something in his book that when you do a major peak or major tree, you will think a counterbalance element, a small rock, a boat or something to balance it. So in this case, the whole thing here, rock is balanced by the boat. That's kind of structural qi or tendency, right? Let me just write my name next here. I don't have to write the year. Just keep it short. Okay. Okay, let's put under it, I think. You can put it on this side. Yeah, so this corner and that corner kind of yeah, he talked about like I mentioned the horizontal and the vertical and the slant. So vertical is the tree, horizontal is the bank. The boat is a slant.
I'm sorry, could I ask one quick question before you go?
Yeah.
The rocks have what I would call male lines. And when we are female painters, sometimes it's hard to achieve.
Male?
The bone strokes of men.
Oh.
And is that ridiculous, or is that something that we can overcome?
I never
My
heard of
paintings
that.
always look more feminine. My paintings always look more feminine than the male artists I'm studying. I've just always wondered about that.
Oh, okay. I think that's. I probably can easily find some artist, female artist. So next class in our blueprint class, we'll study Qibaishi. And I think Ping's mother, her brushwork is more male than me, at least, to any male student. I don't know how she achieved that, but Qibaishi is very man. Where he was a carpenter. His brush is his teacher. Shuhu's teacher is more. He's feminine. I think Huang Minghong may be more. You can study more Huang Minghong, but Qibaishi is definitely more yang or masculine, right?
And Huang Minghong carved seals.
Yeah, he carved.
He wanted us to paint with a deep carving stroke.
Okay. Yeah, I think the experience of Shihu with Qibaishi, the most influential. There is a story he keeps telling his student, and in his book, is he learned from Qibaishi. One day he saw Qibaishi carving a seal. Okay, and so he will hold the seal stone in one hand like this, and he will use a knife on the other hand, and the seal has no draft. He will probably put either red or black on it. Okay, and then when he carve, he will do all the strokes in one direction, and that's all the horizontal strokes. Then he turned the stone 90 degrees, and he would do all the strokes in that direction, in the exactly same position and the same direction. And that's done in minutes. So that's just how Qibaishi does it. And when he commented, he said, "This method is excellent. It's a good method. It's very good." And Qibaishi replied, "The technique must be the simple, the better. Must be very simple. But the effect must be perfect, but must be the best. So simple approach, best effect is the highest goal in Qibaishi's art. And also, Shuhu, Chen Zizhuang learned that from Qibaishi and tried to apply to his own painting, I think. So he tried to paint in very simplistic way, but to achieve the highest result, the most beautiful result in a simple approach. So he used he borrowed some technique from he borrowed some technique from flower and birds painting, and these days I tried this. Today I can only show this piece, I think. Okay, this one you remember we did after Chen Jialing. This is unfinished work from Victoria's in class. She did all the washes like everybody did, right? And then it all looked like this without the outline. And then I come back, added the veins, like you would do the leaf, you would do the leaf color ink wash first, and then you do the leaf veins. So that same idea could be used in landscape, and Shihu was probably the first to do this. Let me just do a quick demo here. So this is the painting I did practice for Chen Jialing's work. So you can go back and add the veins, like he would it's very fun to do this kind of drawing on your Chen Yanling's maybe not the abandoned works or unfinished works. So you'll see a different result. So just so in his Tai Chi movement, I noticed just like Huang Binghong, his teacher, explained, the Tai Chi is left and right balance. Okay, left and right balance always, and something up and down also, like when you paint a rock, it goes up and down, right? And between square and round. I will add my own teachers teaching, like the division of the we use the Y-shaped division. And try to avoid parallels. And that's a Y-shaped division there. You can also do that. That typical part we taught in the lesson 1. All right. So another thing is the ridge of rock or mountain. So you try to avoid repetition in same direction, right? It's hard, but we do that. You create the complexity and more natural look. So if you have this kind of paper from previous class, you can keep working on that with outline. It's fun. So left and right, and then middle. And he sometimes goes like, very free, just like a painting vine of a gourds or something like that, like Qibai's just combine several as it's because he think there's some texture, and then he just do it with this kind of subconscious. It's not really depicting the shape, but the feel of something there. He doesn't care. But he doesn't do it in a drafty manner. So when you try to fill in space, you can just write like calligraphy, right? Is that the idea? Or we talk about the turning of directions. So you always adjust the brush. You have to turn the tip to the new direction by adjusting the tip. You use your, like Lu Yanshao shared the secret of his holding brush with and twisted the brush handle with the middle finger. So your middle finger always moves. And you don't have to use a middle finger. You can hold the brush like this and still turn the brush when you occasionally, at least between strokes. So you would turn the brush. You turn the brush between strokes. See, and you kind of turns. So the brush is always stay pointed, right? And sometimes in the middle you have to twist while you draw. Okay. But don't force it. You have to keep the flow. Keep it the flow of qi. Right. just as a practice, you can use this kind of paper to exercise to see to practice your contour drawing. And try to avoid parallel. Try to be very sure with your brush and the line quality.
So this kind of brushwork was not a rejection of classical Chinese.
It is a rejection. It is a rejection. There's no what's missing. Okay, what's missing here is the cha or scramble, right? The scratch kind of. No traditional hand paintings like this. Even Qibai could does this, right? Do you see this in Shuhu? Yes, maybe some paintings still do this. So this is the hand parallel texture stroke, the hand fiber, right? You remember this? So
yes, I do.
Yeah, he get rid of all that. He just used the line and wash. That's it. So it's more like painting leaves, or veins of vines. Yeah, veins of leaves. Or the line is more like a painting tendril or something.
But in 1968, did they have any access to seeing
No.
Picasso or anybody else?
No. Okay, his comment about Zhang Chen, for example, it was all about his early work. He never accessed Zhang Chen's late work, like a splashing painting, pouring color, right? So I don't think he knows any, but he may know some classical, the representational Western art is accessible, and then mostly the Russia's school of Western art, what is called socialist realism, that kind of is dominant. So in Sichuan, the leaders in the art are mostly the woodblock, the revolutionary woodblock printing school in Yan'an. The realistic or symbolic kind of. They don't like this kind of literary painting style, and it's like Shihu is considered very eccentric maybe. However, there's a leader in the art circle, becoming a collector and later a promoter of his art. He was a student of Pan Tianshou. And in small art circle, many people like Han Tianshou and later, all the major masters in the 80s loved his painting. But not when he was alive. He was obscure. But he was known to local art circle for. In the years just before Cultural Revolution, he had annual shows sponsored by the Artist Association, I think, or something like that. And the organizer had 140 collection and just donated to Sichuan Museum. So his work are given to people who appreciate his art. He's a good friend, artist friend and collectors, and to those who helped him in his life as gift, and also to his student as teaching samples. So yeah. Okay, any questions? We already have time. Sorry, I just keep doodling here. So you can if you want, I can show you one more. Such a doodling.
How about the chi on the previous painting?
Which one? The previous. My own. I don't have any chi to
No,
share.
the one we did earlier.
The first one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me see. Where's the? Oh, it's already dried. Okay. I also have the round one. It's a similar. You want to see? Oops. Oh, here. Okay. This is a small one. And it goes like in more circular. Maybe you can see. I still like this one. Maybe just sign it here. So it goes like a circle, right? It goes like a circle. Goes. Let me just sign. Mimic Shuhu.
So both of these paintings, the chi is going
Like a
circles, right?
yeah, I think so. It goes. It has a hollow center, right? The round void in the center, and it goes maybe two circles, one outer circle, one just like that. Yeah, and each individually, you want to keep the each line is produced by the previous one, but not exactly a repetition in direction and the size. So that keeps the chi flow, and notice the rising and the falling of the ridge. I think that's all it has to do with the integral or cohesion of qi. So every part is part of the invisible qi integration of the painting. You know, it should contribute to the qi, but not. Okay. Can Daisy explain what a beginner practitioner would act when they try to learn the wushu? You know, in my Tai Chi class, the teacher always said even advanced performers, you know, like in a tournament kind of environment, my Tai Chi teacher will say, look at that practitioner, that person's Tai Chi is not integral, not a Chen. Chen means integral, right?
Yeah.
So his movement is fragmental, just little, you know, and he might do something like a very, very showy, but not as part of natural flow.
Well, I think you can move really smoothly, or sometimes some styles of Tai Chi have sudden movement. But the thing is, once you start moving, your movement and your chi and your intent there should be no gap. They should be continuous. So once you turn on, you're on. Even if you stay in a posture and you're not really still, there's a chi flowing within the posture. And so people who know chi can see it. But I think it has to do with it's what's going on in the person's intent and the person's continuous movement and continuous attention to flowing through all those phases and keeping the line from breaking.
Yeah, the movement is continuous and rhythmic.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be slow and abrupt. But it has the rhythm, so you have to do it at the right point. So when
it has to be, it has to be natural. That's Fa Jing, you know, when the player is showing that he can release that power it has to still be part of that continuous flow, and it has to come out naturally and not be forced. So the timing, all of it has to flow from that natural chi energy that's flowing through your body and through the movement.
I imagine when he does this automatically, it's like automatic drawing, not as like a copy. That's why it's so difficult to copy someone's signature or chi, right? But in the end, you memorize this, and maybe after several copy, you can do it without looking at the original, and that at that time we can you will be in connection with your own chi. So at the beginning, it's hard to, you don't even know how to hold the brush, for example. So you need to learn the technique part, maybe by practice just the stroke, and then learn the composition, and then learn how to combine everything to compose the picture. Yeah, the chi is the.
No matter what your level is, though, what you have to be looking at as you learn those basics is a teacher who has it. Like you, Henry. I mean, you have to be looking at that. It has to get into your eye, so you recognize it and understand it, even as you're learning the most basic thing.
Yeah. I totally agree. So also Shuhu said in his book that student must cultivate their eye level first. So you have to look at, you have to copy a few dozen good paintings before you can paint. Just like he made a metaphor. He said, you guys are at the stage of reading articles, not yet writing articles. Yeah, so you have to develop your eye. So you can tell from my copy and let me turn. If you can tell the difference between the master copy and mine, then you know the chi. The difference is only the chi. Can you see it? Right. So I have some breakage of chi. He doesn't have, because he did it automatically, and I try to copy his signature. A copy of someone's signature is definitely different, less fluent. Yeah. So don't copy the trace. Try to have a goal in your copy. You can just concentrate on the structure first. And then if you think your stroke is weak, you can spend the whole time, just like I did. I blackened several, at least 5 of this kind of. I just keep drawing, practicing, and I'll look at one of his painting. One of my favorite these days was one with very Tai Chi. Let me show you which one, and I'll give you the number. The one I just use one painting as a reference for all my strokes. Look at this. Look at this. So all my strokes derive from this block. I'm just amazed how how this kind of stroke can do. So it doesn't depict anything, right? Just it derived from the mustard seed garden manual, but it's more fluent, more continuous, and more subconscious sometimes. So I that's why I think okay. This number is 1430136. Let me copy this name. Can I copy it here? No, I cannot copy the file name here. 143. Maybe someone can help post that file name. Any painting in the folder could. Yeah, okay, I got it here. You can download all the pictures and just pick anything you like. You don't have to copy a complete painting. You can just learn the strokes. And actually, he said the calligraphy. You can practice calligraphy strokes He said the Pima is like a seal script, and the Fu Pi, the X cut stroke, is like a clerical style calligraphy. So take a class from Victoria should help. Okay, that's the file name 1430 blah blah. That's the stroke I used for practice. Maybe not a good example to copy, just as a inspiration. It's not copyable. Actually, you eventually would develop your own habit. Maybe he has a Tai Chi. It's very conserved energy. I like there's no corner, lot of squarish or angular movement, but it has like a direction change, like he said, in all 8 directions, right? So it's like a game, yeah. Just like a kind of a very different game than traditional method. He does emphasize on life drawing, from real scenery. This probably has a place. Some of them he has a place. Yeah. This is also interesting. Next week I'm thinking to teach styles similar to this. It's very simple lake with a willow tree. A Shanghai master, Lin Ximing, he's a paper cut artist, even simpler than Shihu, I think. Paper cut artist. He does also very expressive, very simple painting like Shuhu. Okay. So Huang Ping, I'm sorry. Like Dong Qichang said, 气运生之不可教也. I tried my best to teach you how to maybe even more confused. So you have to read more books, more paintings, and practice more to get your qi more developed. You already have it. That's what I mean. 生之 means everybody has their own qi by birth. It's impossible to teach. That's a quote from Dou Jicang. He was the father of the southern school, northern school theory, the Zen school.
Yeah, I understand that it's hard or it's impossible to teach. But if in every class, when we look at the painting we are going to paint, if we can, just see how the master's qi is flowing, and I think that will give us some hint.
Yeah, I think you can easily see a fake or a student work in like a mine work. If you compare to the original, you will see the difference. Not only just technique, but beyond the technique, the 境界 in his word, or the artistic realm, the conception. Conception is not easy to teach. Oh, by the way, we'll have a class from Mr. Yang in the week after next, and we'll start half an hour earlier on October 14th. I'll send you a note for that. So not next week, the week after next one. And he will talk about the different conception of urban landscape from Western watercolor painting, and the connection of his urban landscape with traditional landscape. Talking about we start from the conception, the viewpoint, the cultural difference of the Chinese brush painting from Western, and then he will do a demo of painting a skyrocketing downtown scene in either New York or Chicago, where he lives, to illustrate how traditional landscape techniques and especially the world view could be applied to 高楼大厦, the skyrocketing buildings. And he just considered those nothing but the like Huangshan peaks, So it will be very interesting. And I plan to do 2 classes on this. The following week, I will, because the first week we'll give Professor Yang time to talk and demo. So we probably don't have time to follow, but you can still paint along if you like. And the following week, I'll do a study of his painting. I'll do a demo, copy demo. So we'll spend 2 weeks on his urban landscape. He is very established in traditional painting. Also, you can find even on YouTube. He teaches traditional landscape like this class. He in the past he said he will not teach contemporary landscape, urban landscape that he's good at, because he can only teach students how to learn based on the master seed garden manual, because that's the foundation, that's teachable. But I convinced him that if he doesn't do that, I will do anyway. So he said, okay. And I just asked him, I say, if you just come to critique, on the side to help, if we have a problem, it'll be fine. But now he's inspired. He bought all the equipment to do a large painting, not the small one, a regular sized painting, to demo his. So for the first time, I think it will be very lucky, and he will share every secret he had. Okay.
All right.
See you next week. We'll study.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Henry.
Bye bye.